Good morning. The question we always ask ourselves is, when are we going to have an economy that is suitable for all Nigerians? And when you ask that question, the next thing that comes to your mind is, do we have the industries, just like we have the religious houses, that can provide job opportunities for our teeming youth population? If no, then what is the solution? To many Nigerians, they've seen entrepreneurship as one of the major exit route for them to be able to get things done for themselves and also take care of their welfare at home and outside their houses. But then, the population of Nigeria is over 200 million. And just like last week when we had the issue that has to do with the national population census, you will definitely know that, yes, even if the government is going to provide facilities for us, the major question here is this: do we have the database that we can look into every demography and make all the necessary arrangements for the future of Nigeria? These are the pertinent questions we have to ask ourselves. Just of recent, we saw the challenges between the Naira and the dollar. And we know definitely, even Aliko Dangote said that we're exporting employment. So what does this mean to the Nigerian economy? Today we are going to be discussing on the roundtable the job opportunities in Nigeria, or let me say the economy of job creation in Nigeria. And that will be done by Dr. Chinonso Stanley Ndukwe this morning to give us an highlight of what are the necessary way out, most especially at this particular point in time in Nigeria, where we definitely have to look at the need to create more jobs, the need to create more MSMEs, and then the need to make sure that, yes, every young person on the street in Nigeria has a better future. This is how far we can go on this background that we are laying this morning, and then we'll go on a very short break. And when we return, we'll start up with the conversation.
Mr. President, last Saturday, the country which I have the honor to represent, the Federation of Nigeria, became independent and assumed the rights and the responsibilities of a sovereign state. Today, Nigeria has been admitted into the United Nations organization and assumes still more responsibilities. I wish to make our position plain beyond any matter of doubt as regards the African continent. We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us, but we have absolutely no aggressive intentions. We shall never impose ourselves upon any other country and shall treat every African territory, big or small, as our equal, because we honestly feel that it is only on that basis of equality that peace can be maintained in our continent. We in Nigeria are a populous country. There are about 40 million of us, and our territory is relatively large. We are willing to learn before we rush into the field of international politics. But we are totally unwilling to be diverted from the ideals which we think true. That is the reason, Mr. President, why we in Nigeria shall not be found to align ourselves as a matter of routine with any particular bloc. Indeed, I hate the very idea of blocs existing at all in the United Nations. It seems to me to be a contradiction in terms. When we hear the world crying out for peace, we may receive the inspiration to deal with these intractable problems and be able really to devote all our resources to the advancement of mankind. by applying those eternal truths which will inevitably persist long after we ourselves are utterly forgotten. Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome back. And Doctor, good morning. Thank you for joining us again this morning.
Good morning.
You know, the issue of economy is something that it cannot, you can't just stop discussing it, because the moment you stop discussing economies, it means things are no longer working.
Of course.
And there's that strange need for us as Nigerians, looking at the security situation in the country, looking at the unemployment rate in the country. You definitely have to beat up the issue for people to really understand that, yes, we are having this pertinent problem, which is unemployment. Now that we are having this issue, as this scheme increased job creation in the FCT and beyond, when I talk about the scheme now, I'm talking about the social programs that have been put in place.
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. First of all, when you say the issue of unemployment is a pertinent issue, I quite agree with you. But I want to add something more. It is the most disastrous problem. It's so problematic for every economy, including ours, both in FCT and currently now in Nigeria. We are having a challenge of unemployment, and the social problems are all attached to the unemployment rate in Nigeria. We are not looking at the social programs yet because they have not been able to solve the problems we are having. And on a very serious note, if you have an economy that has 35% unemployment rate, the social program that must be put in place must be able to tackle it, at least to get it down to 3.5 or 3.2%. So currently, in my own opinion, I can categorically tell you that the social programs that are in place today have not been able to solve the unemployment rate we have in Nigeria.
So that if they've not been able to solve the unemployment rate in Nigeria, you know, the issue of unemployment is something that you cannot just, we can't say that it's something that one leader will just come and solve. Even at the state level or the local government level, you discover that as much as Nigeria is trying to get things done properly, the more the issue of data is very, very critical in all this. It seems so many of our facilities, they don't even have the necessary data that will give them informed decision on what they are doing. So now that these social programs have not really given us that change we expect, what should be the way out?
You see, I have often argued that the call for job creation shouldn't be for the federal government alone. In fact, every government, every political office holder at the state level, federal level, executive, judiciary, they have a serious responsibility to job creation. Because when we talk about job creation, what we're talking about? We're talking about creating business. Creating business. When you create a business, you are more or less trying to create profitability. And when you are creating a profitable economy, you are empowering people. You are making families more stable. You are making graduates more stable. You are making individuals more stable. And what are you doing? You are increasing the GDP of the country. So the state government, the senators, those in the House of Representatives, their call per se is to create businesses. And creating business is the easiest thing to do for anybody who has said he or she is called to lead people. I see a couple of times when they are giving constituency allowances, they gather healthcare providers and offer free medical care. Those programs are good, but they're not the best. Creating clinics, creating maternity homes, hospitals, transport facilities will create jobs. People will work in all those places. People will be able to gain their own living from all those services they are providing. So the state at this point should gear up and begin to look at ways to create jobs. Because I see in Nigeria today, you see a governor, for 8 good years, he can boast of paying salaries. He can boast of, maybe, for example, building a new station, a new facility. But you can't see them saying, I boasted of attracting this new TV station, this new radio station, this new hospital, this new market, this new transport company. Look at Abuja, for example. When I was coming out today, I saw a crowd almost in every junction. Crowds of people looking for transportation to come to town. Now, why don't we have transport facilities that are empowered by government? Why don't we have like tube stations? Why don't we have overground tubes? Why don't we have underground train stations that will change the landscape of our transport system? Because, for example, there's a company in the UK called Transport for London. Transport for London, the budget is £10.7 billion. It has like 5 strata. It has the one they call London buses. Over 3,000 buses powered by Transport for London. That makes it difficult for you to have traffic. People jump on the bus with little. It's easier. They have the one they call overground train. It transports people from city to city. They have the one they call underground tubes. It transports people from city to city. They have the one they call Elizabeth train. This facility has $10.5 billion pounds as its own budget. Do you know how many people it employs? Over 128,000 people. Now, such a system reduces traffic, employs people. Then what does it do again? It attracts revenue for the government. Billions of pounds are attracted from that business. Why can't we have it in every state in Nigeria? Why can't we have government attracting businesses that can attract jobs, that can create jobs for us? That's transport alone. And you know that in Nigeria today, our budget, 2022 budget for transport, for the transport ministry, is 167 billion naira. But we have 200 and something million population in Nigeria. London has 67 million people, and their transport for London is 7 trillion, because 10.7 billion pounds is around 7 trillion naira. 7 trillion for only a section. But our transport, the whole Nigeria, is only 167 billion. What can that provide? What can that provide? The essence of creating jobs is to also improve our GDP, improve our standard of living, widen the middle class gap. So the state government has a lot to play, a lot to do, because this is not only on the federal government alone. You are not elected to just collect security votes. You're not elected to just pay salaries. Create jobs for people. Businesses are everywhere in ICT, in transport, in agro businesses, in different aspects of economy. We need this government, the state government, the senators, to sit down and ask themselves, how many jobs have I created since I became a governor, a senator, or House of Rep member?
You've asked a very serious question there, because when you look at most of the things we do, most especially, you've raised the issue of senators, probably the National Assembly, the State House of Assembly. You start asking yourself, what are their major functions? Their functions basically is to make sure that, yes, we have efficient rules and regulation within the country, and which at the end of the day formulate to become the constitutions we are using. But then most at times also, towards the election period, you discover that what they campaign with probably is the number of federal government jobs they've secured for their constituents and the rest, which is not part of their purview. And sometimes also they do carry out activities like the medical outreach, instead of putting up facilities, collaborating with the government to put up facilities that will serve those purposes. So these are pertinent questions. But if you look at the American, despite the fact that we have issues between Ukraine and Russia, and then you look at the inflation rate across the globe,
yes,
they are troubling.
Seriously.
And definitely, many people are going to lose their job. And even in Nigeria, we've seen it that it is above 17%. So now, when we have this kind of situation, despite the hardship, are there any methods that one have to adopt? Most especially, when I say one after, I mean now the institutions of government have to adopt to say that, yes, it suppresses the tension within the country.
There are several perspectives to it. Economic perspectives to it. For example, in July 2022, America created 537,000 jobs in July alone. There are steps they adopted. The first is to reduce the corporate tax. When the taxation for the SMEs, the corporations, the companies are reduced, they have the interest to what? Create more services, employ more people. Number three, we have to begin to synergize. Look at the challenges we are having. For example, in the oil economy we discussed the other day, bring up institutions, international acclaimed refineries that could come in and build refineries. Refineries will employ jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs. There are problems we are having, for example, in the price of food. For example, we have the price of rice so high. We have the price of beans so high. The price of red oil so high. What are we supposed to do in a place, for example, in FCT, for example? What we should do is to look at farmers in the international community. Find out what are they doing in Malaysia to build the palm groves they have. Look for lands. Look for locations here. Plant those palm crops here. Look at what they are doing in places like Jakarta, where they have very, very cheap cotton. Where they have the best cotton, for example. Even China imports cotton from there. Look at what they are doing. Attract them here. Let them plant and build the cotton farms here. As they are planting it, these are raw materials that need farmers. They will employ our farmers. Then when they begin to process it, they will also employ people that will help in the processing here, because we have cheaper labor than they have over there in Europe. So these are the areas that what they can do. Synergize, bring in other conglomerates that will come and build the companies here. Then number three, it's important to know this. When inflation is high, the government has to do a lot of things on interest rates. Reduce our interest rates. When you reduce the interest rate, you and I, businesses, corporates, graduates, they can borrow. Make it easy for them to borrow. When they have the loan, they can start up a small business. Our cost of borrowing in Nigeria is high. An average graduate can't even borrow. They don't have the access to the funding for their businesses. SMEs, as you know, they are the fulcrum for business growth, for job creation, for employment. If you have over 300 employers of labor in your city, what will happen? The unemployment rate will go down. The standard of living will go up. The more people work, the more they get paid. So reduce the interest rate, make loans accessible, and let the regulatory bodies move to the banks. Find out the money CBN allocated to them. Are they giving it to the right people? Are they sharing it equitably? Are we having people who don't even have education? Can they have access to the loans? Because a lot of people in the market, they don't have education like professional or academic education, but they have business education, but they don't have the money to improve, to scale up their businesses. These are the areas the US followed to build up their economy.
Now, you've mentioned the issue of policy. Now, how do government policies influence this long-term job creation?
The first policy, I'm looking at the issue of all the ministries in government should be able to allocate a department for labor creation to get into the labor. Policies affect jobs. The policies you make affect jobs. For example, if all the ministries can openly tell us how many jobs they have created outside of the public sector, because the essence of a minister, the essence of a junior minister is not to sit down there and pay salaries. It's to look at how to what? Lubricate, how to oil the stakeholders, make it easy for them to create businesses and jobs and make profit for the economy. We are too oil reliant. When your economy is sensitive only on one source of business, one source of job, it affects every other thing you are doing. So policies influence the level of jobs you are creating. Not just jobs, where there are jobs you can create, they won't add a lot of value. Quality jobs are dependent on government policies. There's some policies you can make today in terms of allowing people to have source of funding. Reducing, like I said, reduce the taxation. Do you know that in Nigeria, an average company is taxed 5 locations, 5 places, collecting taxes from companies? It will not give them that gravitas, that courage to do more or to even create other branches. The taxation is quite high. So the policies of government can influence how many jobs he creates, how many businesses we have, and then the kind of profit those businesses can be able to create or achieve within the quarter.
Okay, now when you look at the situation, now that we are in the FCT, okay. It's a different ballgame, unlike in other states. Like in FCT, the council chairman, they get their money directly from the federal government. So now, how can Nigeria unemployment problem be solved within the FCT? Looking at the mass, the population inflow into the FCT.
Okay, let me give you an example with the fashion industry. There are over 8 to 10 million people that are resident in FCT, for example. Now, currently, we don't have factories making clothes in FCT. We have limited factories that are making clothes in FCT. Most of the clothes, shoes we get here are imported from Aba, Onitsha, from Europe, America, and the rest of them. These counselors, these people who are working within the FCT ministries, their job, for example, in the fashion industry, should look at the producers of these clothes, create trade fairs, government programs and projects that will attract them to come here and institutionalize fashion skill acquisition, where the youths, residents in the FCT, can be able to talk on how to make the clothes, how to produce the clothes. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them could be able to get big within the next 6 months and employ hundreds of people. As they're employing people, and since they're making the clothes in Abuja here, the clothes will be cheaper. They have created jobs, made us to access clothing cheap. There is no way you can be able to liberate the FCT from the unemployment rate without building factories. FCT needs factories, fashion factories, food processing factories. We need factories that can be able to, for example, make our own local drinks. I don't think FCT has breweries yet. We get drinks from both the soft drinks, the alcoholic drinks from outside the FCT. We need breweries that are making drinks here, making our wine here, making our water here. We need them here. If we bring them, they are bringing jobs. Attract them, give them allocations for land, have a deal with them, public-private partnership with all these businesses. Within the next 6 months, they pay off their money with their profit, and then they keep employing people. We need companies in FCT that can be able to manage our local transport systems. There are companies all over the world. Bring them here. Let them assemble our own cars here. FCT should be making cars. We should have car factories in FCT. The one they have, the one in Kaduna, the Pushu, and the one in Innocent is handling in Onitsha. We need cars that are made in FCT. The value chain can attract tens of thousands of jobs. So FCT needs to open up. Lagos is big today because of the level of factories, the level of economy there. People I know it's jam-packed, I know it's overpopulated, I know it's a little bit dirty, but the fact remains that they have jobs created there because they have factories. We need factories. We need big factories making cars here. Factories that are making food. Factories making soap, cosmetics. We need them here. The more you attract them, what are you doing? You're attracting jobs. You're making this FCT more profitable. And what are you going to do? You gather more IGR. Because it benefits everybody, both the employee, both the employer, and the government. And the more we begin to grow, for example, this country called Ethiopia. Ethiopia's major city today boasts of sufficiency in wheat. They no longer import wheat. In the next couple of years, they start exporting wheat. Sri Lanka closed down. You know where the country where they suffocated because of scarcity of food? They depend on Ukraine for wheat. And during this Ukraine and Russia war has clamped down on export from Ukraine. In fact, a New York Times article recently argued that Russia locked down one of the export facilities in Ukraine that was exporting wheat to Africa, to Sri Lanka, to Asia, to all the rest of it. So they couldn't access wheat. Hunger intensified. That's how they closed down and pursued their president. FCT should be able to have wheat farms, corn farms. Are you with me? This is very, very crucial. If you can develop this ministry, both in agri, both in transport, both in ICT, we need to have ICT hubs where we can make our own phones.
I'm even coming back to that because you've raised this issue, and I think just last week the ITF Industrial Training Fund were able to put up I think an industry that has to do with development of phones and other software.
Yes.
So these are issues that definitely we'll be looking at when we return back from the break. We'll go on a very short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at other sectors that we feel the FCT needs to look into for more job creation, because it is becoming so alarming with the rate of persons that are coming in. You've also noticed that surrounding states definitely are also facing crises of issues of insecurity and the rest, and people are looking for safe haven. And as a result of that, they understand that, yes, FCT has a very good security architecture, and they will have to come into FCT. And as a result of that, definitely you cannot run away from issues of insecurity while the jobs are not available to get the masses to do one or two things within the days. So let's go on the short break, and we'll return back to continue with discussion.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be wielded by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Yeah, welcome back. Just before the break, you've heard from Dr. Stanley Ndukwe giving us the way out on what government should do, or the private sector should also do, in order for us to get the population, or most of those that are unemployed, gainfully employed, sorry for that. And then when you look at all these issues, definitely you know that Abuja, that's the FCT, has this potential, and it is high time government put up more infrastructure, just like the way they are doing currently, and to see that, yes, we have more companies coming up into the city and to create employment for people. And then despite the fact that we have MSMEs, most of them in the ICT sector, sorry, you know, if you go to, for instance, Banex, which is popularly known, you see so many youth taking that advantage of that particular sector. And then there are several of this sector that definitely will be able to employ more persons and then give opportunity to many Nigerians. Abuja should be a home where you come to and then you definitely go out happy. So now that you've raised this pertinent question, now, if there is, because you, at a point, you go to certain places in Nigeria, you see there's job creation. But the issue is, are these job valued jobs?
Yes. There's some places we have, jobs, but the jobs are not enough. We are looking at 33 to 35% unemployment rate. What does unemployment rate mean? Unemployment rate means the number of people who are in the labor market. They have what it takes to work. They are constantly seeking for employment, but they cannot find. Over 50 million youths currently in Nigeria are unemployed. This is a recipe for insecurity. Those places you see, there are pockets of job creation. What kind of jobs are those jobs? Is it motor park jobs? Is it selling of pure water bags? Is it driving of taxis? These are not the jobs we are talking about. For example, in a place like FCT, we are yet to have standard online universities. There's a ministry that takes care of education. It's that ministry that will organize workshops, bring in stakeholders. We are looking to create 10 online universities that will employ hundreds and thousands of university graduates who can lecture. Let's create this in online universities that can operate internationally. As we are creating such opportunities, such workshops, we are creating jobs. It is the ministry that deals with, for example, BFRE. They'll say, what do we do? Organize stakeholders every month. Look at how to give them the policies you can make to make it easy for them to make our own beverages in Abuja. I went to Benue State, for example, for a tour. And I drove to an LGA called Vandekia. I met over 8 different orchards, Western fruits, oranges, Western on the floor. I was asking my driver, what is going on here? He said they don't have very stable and organized factories making orange juice. You can imagine. Waste of fruits. There are land here in Abuja where we can plant our own orchards, where we can develop private-public partnerships, create our own factories where we can have our own oranges, cheaper, done here. The process of making those beverages employ thousands of jobs. This is simple initiative. You cannot sit down and watch the private sector ruin your economy. You have to give them direction. That is why the people came together and elected you. You have a long part to play in job creation. If you do not call your constituencies together, they will not do anything. What's the essence of regulation? What's the essence of politicking? Is it not for you to be able to lead, show people the right things to do, the way to go? So this is the area we are looking at. In what area is your ministry? As a minister, as a councillor, creating jobs, creating businesses. Like I said, to create jobs, you must create businesses. When you create businesses, you create profitability. And when you create profitability, what are you doing? You are creating stable livelihood, stable and better standard of living for people. That is how jobs are created. And that's how you see economy stabilize. There is no other way you see economy stabilize. In China today, you cannot drive up to a kilometer without seeing a factory somewhere, without seeing a business somewhere. The economy came from a third world economy and they are moving towards a developed economy. What does it take to become a developed economy? Is if you're able to create jobs, create value, jobs that have value. Those places you mentioned, for example, some places in Lagos where you see a couple of jobs, what is the standard of living? What is the infrastructure they're living? As a government, we are looking at how to create infrastructure. That's the most important thing. Infrastructure creates jobs. Infrastructure creates jobs. If you are not creating infrastructure, you're not creating jobs. For example, in a place like FCT right now, you cannot boast of up to 10 standard libraries with indoor sports centers where children can go to play. Those centers will employ hundreds of youths. Look, they are on holiday right now. They are begging for a place for summer classes. We don't have enough places. Government has not looked into all those areas. In the UK where I studied, every street, 2-3 streets, you have what we call STUART centers. In the STUART centers, what do you see there? You see a standard library that can contain almost 500 people. You see a swimming pool. You see places where children can play. Those places have hundreds of people working day and night. This is how to create employment. That's an infrastructure that will reduce crime. Because idleness among the youth increases what? Crime. Are you with me? When the people are idle, they will think of what else can I do to eat. Start looking of insecurity. They start being recruited for banditry. So most places you see there are jobs, check it. There is scarcity of infrastructure in Nigeria. Building flyovers is not enough. In River State, you hear about flyovers. But you don't hear about common tube that can take somebody from Port Harcourt to a place like Diob, or to a place like LN, or to a place like outside of Port Harcourt. We don't have such inclination. We need leadership that can think of infrastructure that will create jobs and improve our economic viability.
You've given us so much highlight on this particular issue, and when you look at issues like this, sometimes it becomes so overwhelming, the situation, and just like you've rightly raised the issue of library. In short, at a point I was not happy because where I grew up, you are not far from libraries. You have libraries across, and any work you want to do, any research work you want to do, you have a very serene environment you can just move into, get your research work done, and then you become more productive. But now if you go to some area council, how many libraries will you find in it? These are pertinent questions. And then when you have libraries, you have librarians. You've employed people.
Of course.
And you have people that are going to clean the library and the rest of it.
Of course.
But then
Security.
these facilities are issues I believe the government will definitely have to look into. And then when you now talk about all these particular issues, so what do you think? Because we've started feeling the effect of unemployment in Nigeria.
It's very huge.
So how do we crash this down?
First of all, one of the effects of unemployment is insecurity. In fact, I've had Erifai say it. I've had Sheikh Gumi say it. A lot of people have said it. Unemployment rate increases insecurity. People cannot find jobs. They cannot find food to eat. When you pay them peanuts, they can go and cause vandalization. Sorry,
before you continue, let me also make sure that those listening to us on our TV and radio, that's ASO Radio 93.5, you can also join the conversation this morning, and the number to call is 090-5740-8127. I'll take that again, 090-5740-8127. That's the number to dial. And when you dial, please move away from your TV or radio set so that we can hear you clearly, and also state your name, the location you are calling from, and make your submission or question known to us, and Dr. Ndukwe is here to respond appropriately. So you can go ahead with that.
Yes. One of the offshoots, or one of the outcomes or consequences of unemployment is the issue of banditry, terrorism, the issue of vandalization. Most of our oil pipelines have been vandalized in the southeast, in the south-south. Why? Because people don't have jobs to do. People are looking for quick ways to be able to survive. So this unemployment has effect not just only on crime, such crimes, it also has effects on emotional health, mental health. Most people you see that are doing drugs today, they're on the street behaving madly, joining cultism, because they don't have a job to do. When you compare that they will give you 50,000 to cause havoc, 10,000 to cause havoc, then there's no job for you. You would prefer to do it. But when there's a job paying you over 300,000 naira a month, you will value your life more than to do drugs or to do crimes or the rest of them. So the essence of job creation you see in some welfare economies like UK is to crash crime.
Okay, sorry, let's get this caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm my name is Dan S. Dan. I'm calling for Kuje.
Abuja. You can move
I actually want to have more contribution to this my new.
Hello. Okay, I think we lost the call. And the number to call still is 090-5740-8127. I'll take that again. 090-5740-8127. Please, when you call, you move far away from your TV or your radio set, or you reduce the volume of your TV or radio set so that we can hear you properly. You also give us your name and then the location you are calling from, and make your submission known to us. So please, you can go ahead with that.
I'm looking at the consequences.
Okay, now we have him back. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
This is Usman Driver calling from Ganchi.
Okay, Usman, thank you for joining us this morning. You can go ahead with your submission.
Thank you. Well, welcome with the guest with all his analyzing the issue of job creation in the country. But what I wanted to take in here is that are they considering the culture of Nigerians? Because when you look at it, Nigerians are not ready to pay for the best or to work in the best out of their best ability. As a driver, going to a transport system, if you go near the BO computer section in Abuja, you will see a lot of transport there, in which if you can take it out to the private individuals, they will make a lot of money. Who are those managing that? Why that is not managed well? And I come to understand that in USA, a 2-hour journey in a flight, 2 hours journey in a flight is $1,200. In which in Nigeria, $1,200 can take you from Nigeria to England. So are we ready to pay for the best? Are we ready to work in the best of our ability? That is my concern. I hope the person should also check that the characters of Nigeria, making call in a hospital while a patient is with you, instead of to attend to the customer or the patient, all sorts of characters in Nigerian system is.
Okay, thank you, Usman, for calling and making your voice heard this morning. I believe the authorities definitely. And Doctor, you've heard from Usman, and these are same issues you've raised, and looking at a stable economy and a nation that indeed is moving towards development.
Yes, what he's trying to, for what I hear him say is that are Nigerians willing to pay for the price? You know, his argument is valid. But now we're not talking about the ability for Nigerians to pay. We are looking at the services, the provision of the services yet. Have they been provided? Have they been provided yet? When you have quality service, people will pay. Quality service will endear people to pay. We have, for example, one airport in the whole of the FCT. There's no, I don't think we are looking into improving our airport services. From the airport to the city, no train services, no tube services. These are areas that can not only reduce the price or cost it's talking about, but improve the services and also create the jobs. We see a lot of cars. You know, we have been clamoring on the issue of climate change. The number of cars on our roads are too many. We don't need all those cars on our road. Abroad, you see people that they have Jeep, like Range Rover, but they are using bicycle to work. Because the proximity, the house to their office is close. And it's safer for them. And they can also jump on the bus, the public bus that are using a lower carbon monoxide emitting systems. They can carry them to their offices because those buses are timed. For example, from your office here to a place like Bega, you are sure that every 5 minutes the bus is out there. Every 5 minutes your bus is there. You check your time, 5 minutes on the bus. And it's timed online, on their website, timed.
You know, you just reminded me of an article I read of recent and that has to do with Netherlands. And
okay.
You know, in Netherlands, okay, sorry, we'll have another caller. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes, I'm Jackson. Jackson.
Okay.
I'm back again.
Okay.
Issue of creation of jobs. You see, the government doesn't create jobs, but there's a way government can assist people. In other countries, it's easy for people to bring up a company. Assuming when I was small, we left secondary school. On our passing out, we see company
They will just come and ask you, write your name. Where do you want to work? We write our name, right from there, we got the job. But today in Nigeria, it's not so. If Nigeria can allow a company to exist in this country, they have killed all these companies, the manufacturer companies. Assuming if they are ready to help them, give them some waivers in agricultural products when they import the machinery to do that. I think that those things can as well help creating a job. For instance, I've seen somebody who wanted to establish a company in Nigeria. The tax and everything they give to him, the machinery, because it's too much and there's no electricity. Okay, I think when you are saying something, please, you help them to talk to the government. You continue preaching on it. If the government can change, we become a consuming nation, not a productive nation. And that's just the main problem I feel of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've definitely make your voice heard this morning, and I believe those in authority are also listening to all you've stated, and I'm think these are issues that definitely, whether we like it or not, so if we want to progress as a nation, we have to get all those issues addressed. So I was just on a particular issue before the caller called, and in Netherlands there was this fancy, because most Netherlands, most of them, they drive bicycle.
Yes.
And I remember a doctor complaining that because they drive bicycle so much, everybody wants to own a bicycle.
Yes.
No job for them in the hospital. that they seem to be the
healthiest
persons and people in the world. So these are the issues. But now, if we are to move forward now, it's not the right time for us to blame the private sector or the government, because at the end of everything still goes back to the government.
Yes.
But now that we don't want to say everything should be, because if you start putting everything with the government, at the end of the day, even you yourself, things you are supposed to do, you say the government should do it for you. So how can we readdress ourselves? How can we bring ourselves back to normal?
Before I respond to that beautiful, fantastic philosophical question, I'll first of all correct that impression.
Okay.
Government creates jobs. You said they do. It is their responsibility to create jobs. In fact, governments all over the world boast. During my tenure, I created jobs. For example, Bill Clinton created like over 60 million jobs during his 8 years. Jobs can be created by government. But policies that can lure people into creating jobs are also viable. They are important. The issue here is Nigerians are not lazy. The youths want to create jobs. They want to work hard. Go on the street, they are hawking. As they are doing all those things, we see all those people hawking, doing all the rest of them, they have that interest. What we need is a ground, a political ground, a policy that can be able to lure us into creating jobs easily and survive in Nigeria as youths are our counterparts all over the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ndukwe. I'm Stanley Chinoso for joining us this morning. Sorry, there's a mix-up in that name, but Chinoso Stanley Ndukwe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's nice having you this morning, and then giving us this enlightenment is very, very important, because we are not happy that so many of the youths are out there without job or something to, most especially at this particular point in time where students, as to tertiary student, federal government students, those ones that attend tertiary university that is being owned by federal government are still at home. It's not a very good one for us, and we hope that the government is definitely going to do something so that these students return back, and we are very, very happy so far so good with the measures they are taking towards this, and we pray it comes to an end on time so that we can have our students back on campus. So this is how far we can go today on the program, The Roundtable. My name is Isanu. Let us all pray that Nigeria works, and it will definitely work. We shouldn't lose hope in Nigeria. We've seen Nigerians making efforts across the world, most especially in the sporting arena, and this is how far we can go. Thank you so much.